I'm joined now by Beth Shapiro, the Chief Executive Officer of Citymeals on Wheels. And I know that the organization has a goal of ending hunger in New York City by the year 2040. How are you going to do that, especially with everything that's been going on in the country?
It's been a rough year to have set that goal, but it's never been more important. Citymeals is focused on homebound older adults, but really want to make sure older New Yorkers get the food they need every day and over time. We can't do it alone. We work with other nonprofit partners, and we will need city, state, and federal government to step up and help fund resources aimed at older adults.
So here's the question. We know that the federal government stopped doing their annual hunger report. How much does that impact the work that you do that's so important in feeding especially homebound seniors?
Yeah. This year, we're actually quite lucky. About a year and a half ago, Citymeals embarked on research to look at hunger among older New Yorkers. And we have data so that it can guide our services and our work. But the USDA canceling that survey puts blinders on the rest of the country looking at all populations, from babies to older adults, and not giving sight to people who are hungry.
Well, you know, I was moved by the fact that I saw a study that was done by another hunger group, that talked about the large number of people in New York City who are food insecure. The number that I read was 1.2 million people in a city of 8 million. That's a lot of people. And that Queens alone had 310,000 people who don't know where their next meal is coming from. What's to be done?
Queens and then the South Bronx has one of the highest incidents of food insecurity in the country. And we live in a city and a country of great wealth. Funding for food services needs to increase. Funding for older adult services need to increase. Older adults make up almost 20% of the city's population, and yet less than 0.5% of the city's budget goes towards New York City Aging, the Department for the Aging.
So what really broke my heart was when I was reading the reports that said that despite the fact that you deliver meals to these homebound elderly, it's not enough food for them, and some of them are left to eat ketchup sandwiches, which broke my heart.
Mine too. When I heard that, literally, this meal recipient, he was eating ketchup sandwiches to bide his time from his next meal. So we are delivering one meal a day. But coming out of that research, we saw 60% of recipients don't have enough. And we've launched a few pilots focused on bringing more food to those folks. The largest at this point is a breakfast box, 30 meals and about 8 pounds of fresh produce going to a couple thousand people as a start. And the results have been phenomenal. The food that it's giving them, the funds that it puts back in their pockets.
But what kind of anxiety does that create for seniors?
You know, there's a fear that is consistent among our meal recipients, consistent with the delay of SNAP funding, that they don't know where their next meal will come from. They're stretching dollars, making hard decisions between rent, food, medicine. 65% of our recipients are surviving on $15,000 a year or less in this city.
So here's the question then. Where does the money come from? And how do you build support in Albany and in Washington to get the money you need so that, I mean, people don't go hungry?
Yeah, that is the question, right? Citymeals survives on the goodness of everyday New Yorkers. The majority of our budget is raised from private donations. We have very little government funding, but the government does need to step up and recognize that hunger throughout this country, certainly in this city, is an issue that needs funding. And for older adults, even the one meal a day keeps people out of the hospital, out of nursing homes, which is a cost benefit for the country, keeps them out of more expensive services. So to recognize that and look at it simply fiscally, if you're not going to look at it in a humanitarian way, look at it fiscally, the benefit it will provide.
So why is it so important to track hunger in America?
In a city that is producing more farm goods than it uses and has more money than it needs if it can be appropriately funded. Children need the proper nutrition to learn. All people need proper nutrition to take their medication. So older people, if they are not eating healthily, the medicine they take is not going to work appropriately, and it's just going to lead to more chronic illness and death for some.
So is there any way that you feel you could convince the federal government to go back to doing their annual hunger report so that you know what's going on?
It's going to take all of us, all people across the country reaching out to their representatives and demanding that this be put back into action.
But is it also, I mean, what else is affecting it? Is it high grocery prices? Is it the tariffs that have raised the prices? I mean, what's going on?
I think the tariffs. Here in New York, grocery prices have raised over almost 60%, about 56% in the last decade. For people who have incomes, but people on fixed incomes, that jump is not attainable. You're not able to meet your own needs. And it's lower cost investment on a federal level that can help move the dollars significantly.
So is it possible that, given all the talk about affordability in New York City, that some of that money will trickle down to your program and that you can actually get city, state funds that could help you? Or is it just donations?
Oh, I think that individual donations cannot take the place of government funding. The government needs to step in. And I think talking about affordability is the right answer. And it also needs to include older people, people on fixed incomes.
So let me ask you this. You know, we just had a government shutdown and SNAP benefits were paused for a while. What effect did that have on your program, but also on the homebound elderly who depend on that for existence?
Yes, 30% of our recipients also rely on SNAP benefits. So even a delay of a couple of weeks has impact. They're not getting food. We did 25,000 pounds of additional food in just a couple of weeks. 25,000 pounds? Yes, feeding 9,000 people, getting them extra food during that 2-week period of the shutdown. But that it's not over, right? That has longer term impact.
Right. And also there's going to be more cuts coming down the road.
I think that's part of what's scary for folks, and that sense of unease for older people and fear. They don't know what's coming ahead. Beth, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to have to leave it right there for now, but we'll be right back.